What do you do? Introduce yourselves.
He was a seaman.
Powerful seaman. That's this guy right here.
Definitely the seaman.
How did you guys meet?
Chuck E. Cheese.
Pathetic. Was your beautiful daughter, was she planned?
No, I don't think so.
Mama. Describe as accurately as possible where the clitoris is.
She's in a preschool right now.
What?
I had no one to call and ask questions to.
Well, just between the cheeks.
There's been girls that have DM'd me and they're like, I can't believe you liked.
Whoa. You have girls in your DM?
Yeah, from like 9 to 2 every day.
Yeah, that guy.
Absolutely.
Between everything you're doing, what kind of revenue looks like?
$17.
What? How do you guys make your money?
Books, children's books.
You could put like dead bodies in there if you want. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Don't Be Sour, the most fat and weird podcast on the planet. This one, episode number 26, with none other than Mr. Brad and Mrs. Aubrey. I've never actually say your last name in real life. I'm gonna try it out here. Bromlow.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bungalow.
Yep.
I thought there was a Bromlow. There's Bromlow. It's just Bromlow.
Just
Yeah.
Bromlow. Yep.
Welcome to the podcast, guys. All the way from Panama City.
We're ex-Houston people too, so.
What?
We lived here for 3 years.
I had no idea. Really?
What kind of research do you do?
None.
Okay.
I just know you guys own like cookies and stuff. It's going to be an exciting podcast. And you know, we normally do some shots on here to loosen everyone up, but you said you're getting over a cold, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It actually says don't drink on the medication that we're taking. So,
Okay, well, you know
but
what?
I would still do it
Guess
anyways.
what?
Okay.
We're still going to do it.
Yeehaw.
Because I don't care about health. Look, we got this fancy Class Azul. You want to ring the bell?
Hit the top.
Just wing. Come on.
Oh, God.
Wow.
You got it. Come on.
I didn't do it. Oh.
Let me show you guys how to
I
do
thought it
this,
was
okay?
like ding. I don't know.
Yeah.
What the look at that.
Did you break it?
The logo just fell off. This is like $180 or something crazy like that. All right, guys, why don't we start? Who are you? What do you do? Introduce yourselves. If you're in an Uber somewhere, we'll go one by one. Aubrey, what do you tell an Uber driver that you do?
Oh gosh. I hate to call myself an influencer, but that is how we started the path that got us to where we are now. So I started as a fitness influencer. That's what we did to help people, and slowly it became a lot more like lifestyle.
So do you say you're an influencer?
I guess a business owner.
What do you classify
I
as?
own a cookie company.
Do you not- did
I
someone
usually
ask
that's,
you?
What's
that's
the first
usually
thing you say? You're like, what do you do? And you're like, bam.
I usually say my husband and I own a cookie company.
That's good. And what do you say?
I say I own a couple businesses. Say cookies, clothes, real
A
estate.
man of mystery, an entrepreneur. Cheers. Welcome to Don't Be Sour. This stuff's not going to taste good. You will regret this.
I was actually telling Aubrey, I don't think I've taken a shot since our wedding.
Yeah, Brad, I haven't really seen him drink like ever.
Well,
Yeah.
get excited because there's another opportunity in the show, okay? So
Oh man.
why are you guys here? I know I'm a super cool podcast guy, but why are you in Houston?
Yeah, it's really just to be on your podcast.
No, it's not.
So Aubrey entered us. There's an influencer named Dress Up Buttercup.
I have questions about that because you posted this on your story, this Dress Up Buttercup, and this girl's got 1 million on Instagram,
Yeah.
lives in Houston,
Yep.
doesn't have a YouTube channel, doesn't have a business that I know of. She's just popular for being popular.
She or her husband, I think, owns an agency now for other influencers because he has helped her so much. But yeah, I mean, I think she makes her prime living on.
We should get her on the podcast. Anyway, you're Dress Up Buttercup, Instagram, family lady,
Yeah,
and
so
man. So what about it?
she's doing something called Build Up Buttercup, which is essentially her version of Shark Tank, just in lack of.
What are you pitching to Shark Tank?
We were looking for help for the retail side, go wholesale with Fat and Weird. So human capital is really what I needed. Like, that's really it. Like I want to get the facility SQF certified. I wanted to help getting sales, the connections to get into those stores. And then obviously as that grows, we're going to need bigger space, freezer space for cookies specifically.
And the company they're talking about, guys, which we're going to dive in towards the second half of this episode, they own a very popular cookie company called Fat and Weird Cookie. It's delicious. It's fat. It's weird. And we're going to dive into the business stuff a little bit later. But that's why you're here in Houston, which is exciting. How did you guys meet?
We met on Tinder.
What?
Yeah.
Here's the question. Who matched with who? So like who swiped and then you got the notification. So basically who swiped first, because it's who got second to know who
I don't
swiped
know.
first.
I'm pretty sure that when I swiped on Aubrey, it was a match.
So that means you preemptively swiped on this man.
And
I
then
guess. Yeah.
it may be the other way around, but she did message me first.
I did.
I like how you're like, I either swiped on her or it was the other way around. She swiped on me. It's like, I think that's accurate.
Either way,
But
we
all I
matched.
know is she messaged me first, so that counts for something. So
What was it about Brad that really just what is the first attraction you had of Brad? Just physical. It has to be physical. What is it
It
about?
was definitely physical for sure. But
What about it? Is that powerful chin?
Yeah, it's the strong chin.
it's that jawline, you know.
No, but I mean, he looked just like a wholesome guy. So
And her first message to me was "nice tiara."
What'd you have?
Well, I guess me and Taylor share some commonalities, you know.
he had a photo of himself wearing a tiara at Chuck E. Cheese.
Do you still have this photo?
I don't think so. I can find it for you.
Okay, we're gonna have to put it on the screen. I needed to see this.
So essentially, whenever you are leaving your command in the military, I was in the military. They throw like a hail and farewell party is what they call it. So,
Everyone gets tiaras in the military when they leave.
Well, hold
my
on.
brother left that out.
So everyone gets to pick where they want their party to be, and so I chose Chuck E. Cheese.
How old are you?
Right now, 35.
How old were you then? 12?
Like 28. So. And so they decided to tell them that it was a little girl's birthday party when we got there. So they had it like all decorated for a little girl, and there was like a tiara for the little girl.
Classic military party for little girls.
Yep. So
Chuck E. Cheese.
I embraced it and I wore the tiara. So
That's what matched you guys. Now, y'all are so in love that I noticed on your Instagrams, y'all are the couple that has the other person in their bio. Is that to Aubrey, is that to thwart off men, or what's the do I need to put Taylor in my bio that like
I don't
I'm
know.
dating this person?
I mean, it's just been that way for so long since we started like what, 5 years ago on social media? 6. And that's what you did before. So we just kept it that way.
Was it a conversation? Was it like, you're in my bio. Why am I not in yours?
I actually think he did it first, and then I was like, okay, I got to do
Well,
this.
she's like the popular one. So when you want to claim the popular one, like, oh, I'm with that one.
That's true. That's true.
so-
Speaking of being popular, here's a little segment that we have that it's brand new for this episode. It's called "Why Are You Popular on the Internet?" Aubrey, please explain to people why you have a large following and what you did to get there.
I think originally it was definitely fitness. I had done CrossFit for a really long time, and when I first started posting workouts, like swipe throughs, I was one of the first ones, and I was super.
Ever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When she started posting swipe through workouts, it was in 2017. So it was like way before anyone else was doing it. So
Back when you had to wait like an hour for your 10 videos to load.
Okay, so we're gonna go on the record that Aubrey invented
No.
swipe through workouts.
No, definitely not.
But she was definitely early. I mean, I remember she gained like 20,000 followers in like 1 week from swipe through workouts.
Would another early adopter of that, would Katie Hearn be someone who also, because she's extremely popular, super successful, but like I guess I don't know her origin story. Is that also like a early fitness
Yeah. So
woman?
It's funny. I described this tier list of influencers, and you have like the first people. So you have like Dana Lynn Bailey, Kaz Martin, Katie Hearn. They're all like 2 million plus people. And so they were like the first fitness influencers. And then you have like the next tier, and those are usually 1 million plus. So you have like Julian Smith, the KK Fit girls.
This is just our own.
Then you have bottom tier us.
Us.
But yeah, and so like Nikki Blackadder would be in that first tier too. But so you have that kind of stuff. Christian's probably in the first tier.
What tier are you?
There's a tier after that, and that's the tier that Aubrey would be in, which would be like Taylor Chamberlain's in that tier. It's like the 5.
Yeah.
They're now, if you look at their counts, they're the 5 to 800,000 followers, and then the million plus, and then you have the 2 million plus. So
I didn't know there's tiers.
it's just
You
something
just
I
made it
created.
up.
I'm at 334.
Yeah, but you're a
334,000.
guy.
What tier am I in?
It's different for guys.
Yeah, that's
it's
a
a
big-
different
that's a big
tier
deal.
list for guys.
You're kind of a big deal
Yeah,
for a guy.
you're a really big deal for a guy. Yeah.
I have many leather-bound books written about me, so of rich mahogany. So I'm kind of a big deal.
You are probably the number 1 dude in deadlift to leg size ratio.
I think I have actually. It's actually crazy. This is like a super side tangent, but there is some kid, I don't know his name, who deadlifts at my old gym, District Barbell, and he is lighter than me, like 145 pounds, and is deadlifting like 700. I feel like it's almost disrespectful to like be even smaller than me, deadlift more than me in my old gym. Like, how dare you? You know?
He's just carrying on the legacy.
I know, but yeah, I definitely I think
is his name Max?
I don't know. That I'd have to put out a hit,
But
for
with
that.
one X.
Yeah. I mean, well, you know, for squat, I definitely think I have the biggest squat to leg ratio. 500 pounds at these quads.
Yeah.
True.
Okay. And are you only popular on the internet because she's popular on the internet?
Yes.
Love that.
Definitely.
And with you being in the military, what branch of the military were you in?
I was in the Navy.
Can you briefly explain? I've been told that each branch, I don't want to use the word hates, each branch talks shit about the other branch.
Yeah.
Navy doesn't like the Air Force. Air Force doesn't like the Army. This
Right.
is little baby branch compared to this branch.
Yeah.
What is your branch? Are you the cool branch?
No, I don't think so. But I think that every branch makes fun of every other branch. So like the Air Force, they call the chair force because they're like desk jobs. They usually have the most cushy assignments. Like even when they go on deployments, like their accommodations are the nicest. The Army, I don't.
Is the Army like we're better than everyone? That's like my family's all the Army.
No, they consider them like grunt work. So I don't think it'd be better
I would compare I think the Army is like the Dallas Cowboys of the military. It's like the most known, like first thing people think of, I think, when people think military in my head.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
But even like when you think about like Top Gun, that's Navy. That's not Air Force.
But they're in planes.
Yeah, but the Navy is on aircraft carriers, which flies the planes.
It's confusing.
So the Navy can be in the water and in the air?
Yeah, and they also, the part of the Navy is the Marines,
Which one's the seaman?
would be the Navy.
He was a seaman.
Nice.
No, technically I was a submariner, okay?
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What is the biggest characteristic that you took from the Army that has changed your life?
The Navy.
No, I mean what happened in the military that like has changed who you are as a person because of you going into the military? Like what about you is different that you're like, I wouldn't be this way if I didn't go to the military?
My crippling anxiety. No. I think that leadership, which I know you had Nick Barrett, and he talked about a little bit when I listened to that podcast about how when you come in, technically, yeah, I was an officer, I was in charge of people that had been on board for like 20 years. And I really want to, because you asked some questions in there that I think that he could have answered a little bit differently. But you know, it's like hiring a CEO. You have subject matter experts, and that's what the enlisted people are. But they're not necessarily good at seeing the big picture. They're really good at what they need to do, like their lane that they need to stay in. And then the officers usually are controlling like multiple divisions, so they need all those groups to work together towards like the common goal. And so I think that, you know, I learned that leadership. I learned how some people are motivated by praise. Some people are motivated by criticism. Some people, you know, you just have different ways that you have to interact with different people to like get the most out of them. So
I feel like the military, as soon as what's something that's so prestigious about the military, you know, there's a lot of reasons, but I think it's almost like when people exit the military, there's this level of respect that everyone has for people who are in the military. Do you ever feel, I don't know, like a pressure of like, I have to uphold this certain like level of who I am as a person because I represented, you know, the United States?
a little bit. Whenever we were in, when I got my first job out of the military, I worked for BASF Chemicals, and my entire group was all ex-military. And like everyone's like, oh yeah, that's the hardest working group. And I'm like, damn, bro, like I got to work really hard or else I'm gonna be like, oh, this guy's a slacker, you know? So it's, I mean, in the military, you worked way more than 40 hours, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, on the submarine, I was on something called 3-section duty, which meant every 3 days you worked 24-hour duties. And then you still worked your normal like 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. if it was a Monday through Friday. So
That's a big duty.
yeah. So you could hypothetically work like 108 hours in a week when you're in the military. And so you're just used to working a lot. And so I think when it translated to the corporate world, people are like, oh yeah, these guys will work 60, 70 hours and they'll think it's, oh, this is light work.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like that because I was like, I want work-life balance. So
Were you all together when he was in the military at all?
No, thank God.
Yeah.
the very end, like the
So you didn't
last
have to
3
deal with
months.
that, like,
no,
stressful?
so when I matched with him on Tinder, he said, hey, I'm going into work and I won't be around to message until later on.
Because we were
And
allowed
then
to have our phones.
this
And you were
at,
like,
like-
are you a stripper? Like what?
This was at like 8 a.m. And then all of a sudden he texted me at like 10 a.m. He's like, hey, I'm done with work. I was like, what kind of job do you have? Like, is this a real job? Like,
Tiara, strange work hours, can't take your phone. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, you can't fit a phone in a thong, so you know.
That's true. Well, just between the cheeks, you can, right in the back there. So after the military and you guys get together, something that I found super interesting, because it's really the first time that I had an interaction with you when you came to my gym where that current skinny guy is disrespecting me. You guys have an interesting living situation because you lived out of a van.
It was a camper.
Yeah. It was a camper.
It was bigger.
Okay, big camper. Why did you guys decide to live out of a camper? Do you travel around the world?
So when I got out of the military,
by the world I mean America. Sorry.
So when I got out of the military was 2015. When we met you at District Barbell was 2018. The 3 years in between there, when we moved to Houston, is when we started growing our social media following. Aubrey got her first ever sponsorship, which was with Junk Brands, the headband company, and then we got picked up by Run Everything Labs, which was Rob and Dana's company. Yeah. And we started sharing YouTube videos. We started sharing the swipe through workouts. We started our online coaching business, and that's like how it all started. And when we quit our full-time jobs in August of 2018, literally at the 3-year point in Houston, Aubrey had around 100,000 followers, and I had like 30,000 followers on social media.
Pathetic.
Yeah. And we decided that we were going to, and those 30,000 were just the trickle down from Aubrey, so really big loser. So we decided that we wanted to do a road trip where we started in Panama City and like worked our way all the way up to Portland, Maine, cut through to Canada, and came back down to meet people that followed us just to like engage with that audience. Yeah. We were so small, we weren't getting invited to expos. So we're like, we'll just go meet them ourselves.
I still think you're small.
Yeah. Especially my arms. And then we're like, we'll just meet those people. And at the same time, everyone knows that we love food. So we're like, we're just going to find all the donut and cookie spots along the way. So we actually started Fat and Weird that August as well. And we had like my aunt was doing the baking. And then we had a couple friends that we were paying to just like fulfill the orders while we were gone. And then we were going to come back and like take over from there.
What's interesting about like y'all doing that at the camper, it actually really inspired me to like truly understand that like I never would ever in a million years want to travel around the country in a camper. Sounds terrible.
Yeah, I remember when we met you at District Barbell and you were like, what are you doing?
Who are you?
Okay.
For like you're driving around like a weekend? Like, no.
No, it was like 2 months.
Yeah, that sounds crazy.
It was great. It was good and bad.
I told Aubrey, I was like, I think Max hates me. Like he didn't want to talk to me at all. He was like, okay, have fun with that.
No, I like your deep voice. Not yours, his.
Yeah.
Thanks.
What were you driving most of the time?
Definitely not.
No,
I was actually
co-pilot.
Okay, so this is the scary thing is we set up a desk in
I built
his
the desk
truck.
out of plywood.
And
It just fell apart as you're working.
No, it would just like sit on my lap and I would work on my laptop because we had our online coaching. And so I would just do check-ins and that kind of thing. And it probably wasn't a good idea.
Well, no, the scary part is if the airbag went off, it probably would have just like cut her in half.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
Yeah.
It was worth it.
Yeah.
So from a camper to now you guys live in an industrial warehouse above it. I like to make it sound like crazy, but you live in a warehouse now.
Yeah. A barn dominium.
From camper to barn dominium. Quite an interesting story.
But you've seen it. So.
No, it's nice. And now you guys have a beautiful baby.
Yes.
Which is exciting.
Yeah,
How
Scarlett.
old?
Scarlett's 19 months old.
Mm-hmm.
Did you name that after Johansson?
Not really. I just like the name. And then we call her Letty. So it's just Scarlett, Letty. I don't know. A lot of people have questions.
What's her middle name?
Row.
So she has a lot. She has like 3 options that when she gets older of like, don't like this one. I can call that.
Yeah. So my grandfather passed away, and so I had all my grandparents when Aubrey and I met, but my grandfather passed away, and he used to call me Buddy Row. Like when I would walk in the house, he'd be like, "Hey, Buddy Row." So Aubrey proposed whenever
she proposed.
No, the idea. Aubrey proposed the idea that when Scarlett was born, that we name her Scarlett Row in like honor of my grandfather since he had passed away and he didn't get to meet her. So that's kind of like my grandfather like living on and being a part of that he never got to meet her. So
was your beautiful daughter, was she planned?
Yeah.
We were trying.
We definitely. I mean, we tried. We struggled.
Yeah.
With fertility for sure. So that's definitely a big part of our story. But she was absolutely a miracle. I mean, we went through about a month of fertility testing, and at the end of this testing, they were like, "Hey, it's going to be really difficult for you to have a baby."
Because Aubrey has something called PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome.
And so, I mean, at that point, we were having conversations like, "Hey, do we even want kids?" Like, it was a weird time.
Yeah.
Do you just want to get back in the camper and let's just go?
Like, do this thing. No, but as we kind of like got that diagnosis, I guess that's pretty much the day that I got pregnant. So
yeah, that when they back calculated like the day that you actually conceived, they were like, yeah, they could give you like a 3-day window, but like it's the dead center day was like the day the doctor told us that like, hey, it's going to be a really long road for you guys. It's probably going to be like 6 months of like very specific diet and possibly taking certain like hormonal drugs so that you guys can get pregnant. And then she got pregnant. So
it's powerful sperm.
Yeah.
He's a powerful semen. That's this guy right here.
Definitely the semen.
So as we were talking earlier before the Potter about how your life obviously drastically changes when you bring a little one into the world. And, that's the biggest focus, not only to set them up for success, make sure they don't turn out to, be something you don't want them to be, kind of, let them follow their dreams, but hopefully give them a structured path to lead them on their kind of way. But now your world revolves around this little one running around. What does your day-to-day look like?
Oh gosh, it revolves around her. But we chose like a childcare option, which I feel like helps. It gives you room for
like a nanny.
We did a nanny at first, and then now she kind of goes to like a school /
it's like a little
daycare.
preschool that she does. So that the difference between a daycare and a preschool is like daycare doesn't have like a structured curriculum at all. There's like the kids are there and they play all day. But preschool they have like a structured curriculum where they like try to teach them things.
Yeah.
So she's in a preschool right now, but only like I don't know. It's like
30
probably
hours,
like
I don't know.
not even probably 20 hours a week.
I just want you to know that I am fairly certain that I went to preschool and I still ended up with like a 2.6 GPA in high school. So it really didn't have any effect. So if it's costing you guys any money, you might want to save that because it didn't have an impact on me. So I'm just passing that along.
No, it really is minimal. It really is. But it gives us room to like run our businesses.
Okay, so she's at preschool for?
Yeah, from like 9 to 2 every day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What age can babies go into preschool?
At 1.
What?
Yeah.
Before they can even say a word?
I mean, they could go at 3 months, really. Truthfully, I think.
Can a baby talk at 1 year old?
Yes.
I think it's
Well,
like
I mean,
one
she
word.
says certain words, like not a lot. She can say
Mama.
Like hi.
mama, dad, hi.
How are they learning things in preschool when they have a vocabulary of 4 words?
They're like sponges.
They're like, all right,
Oh, yeah.
today E equals MC square.
At 1, she could like make my coffee for me in the mornings. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Very
she'll get in the car, she'll drive to Starbucks, and she'll order and everything.
No, you really, I realized how much they pick up on like what you're doing. Like she watched me one time just like open the Keurig, like pull the pot out, put the new pot in, like close it, put my cup, press the button, and then I literally put her on the counter and she did the steps.
You're like, I put her on the counter, I went and took a shower, and when I came out,
Yeah.
there was a pot of coffee just
scary.
ready.
She poured the creamer in, like everything,
Your child might be a super child. Okay, so they're in preschool. So what does an average day look like for you?
Really, it's sad, but we just work in our office together. I mean, we're together 24/7. We really are.
You should be lucky with this guy. I wish I
Yeah.
could be locked in a room with him for 24/7.
That's her biggest complaint is that she's locked in a room.
It's definitely a different dynamic. I think we spent a good year trying to figure out like how is this going to working together and owning businesses together, because it's not just like fun and games.
It's hard for that small talk. Like, what'd you do today? It's like, well, I saw everything you did today.
I
You,
know.
you can't hype up what you did.
Yeah.
It's I'm new to being in a relationship and a super happy one with my my other half Taylor, which we're gonna get dinner later tonight. But I guess something that I love so much is like the time we spend together is like during the day. It's like we kind of go do our separate things and then we reunite at about like 4 o'clock. We come work out, so we have that time apart. When I was working the desk job, I would have buddies who their significant other was someone that was in the office, and then they would live together. I'm like, y'all wake up, drive together, go in the office together, go to lunch together, drive home together, eat dinner. I'm like, it would drive me crazy. So how was that?
The road trip was actually the hardest part because that was 10 weeks and we spent 6 hours total apart in 10 weeks.
Like
That's
I went
6
to go
hours.
get my nails done at one point, and that was like
And
our
then,
first time apart.
And then there was a couple of workouts that she went and I didn't go to the gym, but like it was a total of like 6 hours, and that was really tough. I mean, like my conversations now are like, how was your workout? Because we don't work out together. I was like, how was your workout today? Because I mean, I know every other part of your
Aubrey
day.
just wanted to like go to the bathroom on frequent trips just so she could like be away from you for like 3 minutes, so like in there.
But yeah, I mean, you definitely learn a lot about the dynamic of your relationship, what each person needs in a relationship, and things like that.
You do have to compartmentalize business.
I love that word, by the way. I'm
and
trying to include
relationship.
that in my vocabulary, and I like that word a lot.
It's a hard word to say.
I know compartmentalize. I really like that. Okay, keep
So
going.
we actually schedule time during the working, like during the your 8 to 5 or whatever, to actually discuss work, so that whenever we stop work at 5 or 6 o'clock, that we don't take it into the evening anymore, because it would be a thing that we would just like talk about work all the time, and it would be 7 p.m. at night, and like Aubrey was trying to unwind, and I'd be like, oh, we need to do XYZ, and she's like, like, this is stressing me out. Or she would be bringing things like, I need help doing this, this, and this. And I'm like, I just want to relax for a little bit.
Yeah.
And so, especially with the amount of businesses we have, it can get very overwhelming. So we started scheduling time during the week, during the working hours, to like have those discussions, so that we can get them on the schedule and we can work that things out. So that way the work conversations stop at, 5 or 6 p.m. and then like don't start again until the morning.
How's the like dynamic of truly like running businesses together, which we'll get into all the ones you have, and just being around each other 24/7 in terms of like, what are you doing today? What am I doing today?
Right,
like
roles.
you should be doing this like better. Like getting frustrated because working on whether you have a partner or whatever, like a business partner, is already stressful. I can't imagine having debates in a business setting with also the person you love. Like, I feel like
so
that's
hard.
a strange tornado.
It's
I don't
so
ever.
hard. I mean, I think we literally spent at least a year trying to work through that. So that was a very difficult year, in my opinion. You're going through work stress, trying to like grow your business, but then you're also just going through relationship stress, because this is new territory. Like, we are sharing a business and we don't know roles yet. What are you doing? What am I doing? You have business arguments, which just bleed into your relationship. So anyway, we got past that. I feel like a lot of it is communication, and then setting boundaries and roles. You're taking care of this, and I believe in you to do this. And,
Yeah, so like Aubrey now is like in charge of all of Memories Over Macros, which is like the online coaching. And then when she needs my help, she asks for help. I'm pretty much run all of Fat and Weird, minus the like HR/employee side. She does that. Apparently people are scared of me, and no, for real. Like one of our employees the other day, like I talked to her and she was like, I used to think that you were just like a big mean person, but you're really nice. And I was like, why'd you think I was? She's like, just the way you looked. And I was like, okay, cool. So Aubrey is better at the HR side because she's, I guess, less intimidating. And then I do all the real estate stuff. Like Aubrey's not involved in the real estate world at all. And then for Motive, which are our clothing brand, I pretty much backseat to that. Aubrey does like all the women's design, like all that stuff. And I'm just like, here if you need me.
Yeah, so everyone, like, you kind of know like what your strengths and weaknesses are. I guess to wrap up that kind of topic, what is the situation that happens if you guys get in a let's say a relationship? We'll call it discussion. I don't want to call it an argument, right? Because we're adults, we have discussions or whatever. But let's say have a little fight, whatever. How do you not let that impact the next day in the business when you haven't solved something that's not business related, but it's personal, but you have to separate that? Normally, you have a problem with your significant other when you go to work. You're like, not like, it probably still does affects you, but you're like, I can kind of shelf that for now, focus on my job, whether it's your own business or a job, but y'all have to be in the same room with the person maybe that you're having a tiff with and continue the business.
Yeah, I don't think our arguments last that long anymore. I think that we go to counseling every 2 weeks for our marriage, and it's probably one of the best things that we've done. I think a lot of people are like, oh, you go to marriage counseling? Like, what's wrong? But it's like, it's more about like, if I wanted you to be strong to help me move my furniture, you wouldn't go to the gym the day before. Like, you'd be working out up to that point. It's like, it's kind of like strengthening your marriage so that when you do hit those speed bumps, like, you know how to handle them. So that's been probably the best part of our marriage as far as the growth and how our marriage has been now, is that we go to counseling every 2 weeks. It's something investing into our marriage. So when those arguments and stuff do come up, like, we know how to navigate that water. So.
Yeah, something I learned from Brad is that, our argument or discussion happens because that's pretty inevitable, I feel like, in a relationship. But it happens and it's over. even if there's not like this complete resolution, but it is over at that point. You don't need to hold on to it, drag it on. Like I was just a person that I watched people do that. You just hold on to it and drag it out through your day.
You're gonna go to work and be like, all right, we're gonna pause this. And you're like, all right, let's finish these orders up. And it's like 5 o'clock. You're like, and I don't understand why the fuck you can't clean out the refrigerator when you're done.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you're done with it. And
Well, that's good. Well, speaking of your business, how do you guys make your money? How do you make the doll hairs, the dollar bills?
Yeah, so we live completely off of the social media influencer side. So like we don't touch Fat and Weird's money. We don't touch Motive's money. And so like, yeah, I guess we just live completely off the influencer side of things. Like,
Is that her influencer money?
I get some
I
too.
am definitely.
You're the breadwinner on the influencer money.
She is the breadwinner. Like hands down, the breadwinner of the influencer money. But yeah, so like off of our supplement sponsorship with PE Science, off of HydroJug, and then Aubrey occasionally does like the one-off stuff, but not as much as she used
Like brand
to.
deals?
Yeah. Yeah, but like now they like make more sense. Like Honest, will send us diapers and wipes. It's like, well, we need diapers and wipes anyways. So
I don't
Yeah.
do anything unless I absolutely love it and can be.
Look, that's what every
completely
influencer says.
No,
okay?
but I mean,
Guys,
it's really
I only
true.
work with the brands that I love.
I get it. No, it's very cliche, but it's just true. I mean,
Yeah. Well, because I mean, is it worth whatever the paycheck is to taint your audience, to mess up that relationship you have, that trust that you have? And like stuff I've always said too is just because especially with brand deals, just because it's not something that like I use every day, or like I like whether it be a meal cooking service, like I don't cook every day, but it's like I understand the value in it. I agree with it for the people that this would make sense for, and it's not something I disagree with. I'm fine with promoting it.
Right.
And so I think when you can understand that, like you're open to a lot more opportunities.
well, someone in your audience may have a need for that.
Yeah.
And if you can save them money, then like why wouldn't you? Because most of the time those promotions come with some kind of discount. Or
That's something
like that.
I've always said. Whenever people are like, "Oh, I hate ads or whatever with discount codes," I'm like, guys, what? When every time I go to order a Papa John's pizza, the first thing I do before I order that pizza, Papa
Google.
John's
Coots.
discount code. I was like, people love this. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Here's a way to save more money in case you want this. I would love, but give me all the discount codes you got.
Yeah, I think actually whenever you did one of your sponsored posts with like Budweiser, Anheuser, I don't remember what the alcohol was, and everyone's like, you don't even drink beer. But I think I commented, get that bag on your thing. I've always, you and I both know from an influencer side, when you do an ad or those kind of posts, they usually do the worst,
Yes.
So I'm always like trying to like and comment on those posts because I'm like, I want to support my friends.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been girls that have DM'd me and they're like, I can't believe you
Whoa. You have girls in your DM?
know.
Wait,
I
I'm
can't
gonna tell you.
believe it.
Hold on.
You need to monitor this.
That have DM'd me and said, I
Like
can't
all of
believe.
his followers are female.
Yeah, they are. It's like 70%. I can't believe you liked this girl's post. And I'm like, they're my friend, and I'm like trying to support them.
Oh, I'll get.
you know?
I think Taylor on like a Q&A or something, like, what do you think about Max like liking like bikini photos? I was like,
Yeah.
and when I saw that, I was like, are they talking about like when it's Mona or Heidi
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
That's
people
what they're
that we
talking
fit?
about.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what do you?
So yeah, that's what people have come at me. They say that's disrespectful for Aubrey, and I said, listen, I treat Instagram like a business. That's
Yeah.
why I only follow a few people. I have really great friends that don't follow on Instagram because that's like a business to me. And so when my friends post, I want to like that post. I want to comment on that post because I want to help them grow.
Boost that algorithm, baby.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
So with all your businesses, what is the most profitable out of all your stuff? So I'm gonna run through them. We have social media, Fat and Weird Cookie, which is a cookie company. Obviously, we got Motive Clothing Company.
Yeah.
We have Memories Over Macros, which is a
Online coaching.
online coaching. Which actually, I noticed you have memories.over.macros because someone has Memories Over Macros.
Yeah.
So instead of just changing the name of it, you're like, I'm sticking with this. I'm going with the dots.
Well,
We'll have the
we have the
trademark.
trademark. So
Yeah, fuck that guy.
yeah.
They have no posts. I,
don't
even
know
look
who-
on there.
Yeah, I know. I know. I noticed that too. But
Okay,
oh,
so
oh,
you have all these the other businesses, and obviously real estate. That's
Yeah.
kind of a long-term thing. I won't even put that in the category.
Actually, that one this year may have been the most profitable from a short term.
I don't want to hear about that one right now. We're cutting that one out. Is that a cough drop on the?
I'm sorry. Yes, it is.
Okay,
It's like
I
in case
consider
have
that
a coughing
candy, and we
attack.
only eat sour strips here.
My
so,
bad.
Out of all the businesses, what is the most profitable? Think about it. What is the most revenue generating? Better thing.
Fat and Weird.
Yeah.
Fat and Weird Cookie.
Yep.
Can you tell me, just to get, I like people like to know stuff. Can you say collectively between everything you're doing, what kind of revenue looks like?
From like our best year ever or
Sure.
just, yeah. So best year ever, probably in revenue, probably around 5.5 million.
What?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money, dude.
Yeah. But the cookie company was like 90% of that. In 2020, we did 4.5 million with Fat and Weird.
That's
in revenue.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's not profit. People get revenue and
Yeah.
profit mixed up real
Yeah.
well because they'll be like, you're doing $5.5 million, but you're still shilling out discount codes or something like.
Yeah, or why don't you have cooler life with $5.5 million or something?
Why are you living in a warehouse?
Why are you charging $5 for a cookie if you're making $5 million? But yeah,
That's great. And out of all the businesses, what brings you the most enjoyment and what brings you the most stress?
Fat and Weird is definitely the most stress.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Fat and Weird is the most enjoyment when I can do what I like doing. But
Yeah.
when you're doing I don't like admin work, and I've been doing a lot of admin work lately. We hit the threshold for pretty much every state for taxes. So
That's annoying.
we use Avalara Tax on Shopify, but like just filling out all those forms and doing all that stuff, and then website stuff and products and barcodes and all that.
I'm
stuff.
trying this new thing where I'm just not going to pay taxes. Like I'm just annoyed with it. So I'm just,
Yeah,
That's a great idea.
yeah, let's see if it works out for me.
let's see if they come after you.
With all the different businesses you guys have and the success that you have, I think a lot of times we'll call ourselves influencers. Influencer, husband of an influencer.
Yeah, that's really it. Yeah.
I feel like it's almost like a pressure to constantly be like one-upping yourself. And, with a successful app, successful influencer, self-brand, right? Whatever, money you're making from that, cookie company, and whatever side projects, real estate, investing your money, you continue to be like, okay, like what other business can we add? So you added a clothing company, Motive. Why do you think you wanted to continue just to add more and more businesses? Because at the end of the day, I'm no mathematician, but you can only give 100% to like a certain amount of things, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's like you're almost, when you start doing all these different businesses, you're making conscious decisions to put, like you may not think it, but you're choosing to put less effort into another business.
Yeah.
Why did you go down the path of let's continue to make more businesses rather than honing in on one or two?
Well, for one, it's not just us. Every single business has a team. I have coaches that work under me. We have a great Fat and Weird Cookie team. And then with Motive, like we have other partners. So that was definitely a benefit to us.
I feel like I should tell the real down and dirty about Motive though, since we're on.
Let's
this
get
podcast.
down
Yeah,
and dirty.
sure, do it.
So, in 2019 going into 2020, Christian let go of Derek from Relay/Alpha Elite
Right.
Distribution. And Derek didn't have a job at that point, and I guess didn't really know what he was going to do. I was offering him some hours with Fat and Weird, but like and so I don't know how much I really should be sharing, but whatever. So he was like literally going to go work for like Lululemon and stuff. And I was like, well, you have a lot of, knowledge on distribution. Aubrey and I have like a decent social media following. Like, why don't we just start a clothing company? He was like, well, Daniel already has Zephyr, which is like a streetwear brand. He doesn't have like an athleisure brand. Maybe we can rope him in, or like kind of get a kickstart on manufacturing and that kind of stuff. So that's really how Motive started. It was about really trying to like find an opportunity for Derek to like, have
Helping
another-
a friend turn into an opportunity for
Right.
everyone.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
just kind of like made sense. And I am a supporter of a lot of different clothing brands, and I will, 100% always be like that. But I felt like there were some things that I wanted and I wasn't getting. So
Yeah.
I was like, all right, let's explore this a little bit. Can I get what I want, by doing my own brand?
Yeah, and mad props to you because, ever forward, your brand. I mean, clothing was way harder than I thought it was going to be.
I tell
It is so
I
hard.
tell everyone when everyone's like, "What's your biggest advice for getting in clothing?" I always say, I joke, but it's almost semi-serious. I'm like, don't.
Yeah.
I think it's the most frustrating business, and with any business, everyone wants it to scale. But as weird as it is, like I had way more enjoyment when it was like at this smaller scale, because when it gets bigger, the headaches increase, the costs increase, the problems increase, the frustrations increase at a level you can't even comprehend, and you think you're like no, like I want it to be at this big level. I'll handle it. But like you don't even understand like the problems with clothing that like happen.
Well, I think all businesses too. Like I enjoyed Fat and Weird the most in 2019.
Yeah.
Before it hit that blow up stage in 2020 when we were still selling out every week, but it was, much smaller. I had a very manageable team. Like we didn't really own anything. We like were renting space and it was like very easy. It was less stressful. But like now we have like, I don't even know how many SKUs. And then in order to go the next step, like I really do need to like bring on people to do wholesale sales.
Yeah.
And I need to bring on I need to probably find a legitimate CEO. Like I'm not a CEO. Like I need to stick to innovation that I'm good at. And then I need to bring in like a CMO and a CFO to go the next step. You can only grow a company to a certain size without help. For most people. I won't say for everyone, for most people.
I think with everything, there's push and pull with every level of like success you get at. But I like reminisce back to, I call it like the good old days when I was just making a very, honest living from just making YouTube videos, had like Everford, had like no employees. It was just me. And I was like, I just think back to that compared to now. And I'm like, my stress level is light years more now than it was. And I'm like, am I making more money? Yes. Am I like more successful in everyone's eyes? Yes. But I was like, I'm always like, is it worth like the stress? I was like, life was simpler back then.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
But you got to evolve.
Yeah, that's the conversation that Aubrey and I have actually had, is that what is our definition of success and where our finish line is? Because it's easy to like look at people on social media that have $40 million companies or $100 million companies and be like, I want that. But like, do you want a jet? Like, do you want it? I mean, because if you don't want it, then you need to really define like what your end goal is and like what you define. So I've always said that for me, I wanted to by 40, which I'm 35, have $10 million.
Damn, you're old.
I know, really old. Have $10 million so that passively, even at like a 4 to 5%, you'd be bringing in around $400,000 to $500,000 a year just off of the interest on that money.
You know what the problem is with like our whole world is that like I like to not like compare, but I think to like my parents, for example, raised me. I am making and have light years more income than my parents ever had, anyone in my family. And I'm like, my mom's living a great life. And like we're surrounded by these people that if you don't have $5 million, $10 million in the bank cash, you're not doing well. You're not gonna, like, you're stressed or like, am I gonna be able to survive the rest of my life? I'm like, I have more money than like my parents ever did. And like, they were fine. Like, it's like, I don't think you need as much money as you think you do, but everyone, you're compared by these people who are, just crushing it and just making so much money. And you think you need all this like crazy cash, and it messes with your head because it messes with your like definition of what success is. You're like, before it was like, when I hit $1 million in my business, that's me crazy. Now you're like, God, I'm trash. It's only done $1 million. Like it's an interesting way to think of everything.
Yeah, my favorite quote is actually, comparison is the thief of joy.
It is.
And I think social media has really shined a light on you comparing your life to other people's lives, because you open it up and all you see is someone going on the next trip to Cabo, or all you see is someone's new Lamborghini or their new Jeep house, or their new Trackhawk or whatever it is, Speaking of that, my buddy that picked you up, he got a new Trackhawk. But all that stuff, and so Aubrey and I had a conversation, like, what do we want our lives to look like? Like, what is the ideal life for us? And like, we both agreed, like, we want a nice house with a pool.
I think a mediocre life would be $10 million. I think we can survive, guys.
I understand that's a little bit confusing.
The whole idea is that amount of income could then be like, could sustain a lifestyle, but then be reinvested back. Because like, I truly worry, like, will Scarlett be able to afford a home if I don't help her to some extent?
Here's something I've kind of thought of. A lot of people want to create, like, we'll call it generational wealth. So like, my kids don't need to struggle like I did. But I always wonder, I'm like, let's say you make enough money, they're like, my kid does need to work. I was like, that's going to affect like who they are as a person, because they don't have like the struggles. You don't want them to like live in poverty as much as you can, you're trying to give them the best life possible. But it's almost like, I think generational wealth is like, so that the one or two can have the money, and then those 2 generations basically lose it all and spend it all because they don't need to work for
we've
it.
talked
And then
about that.
and then 3 generations now got to start it back over.
Well, no, I think it's more for me. I want the ability to help her if I need to help her.
My kids get. I got a $4,000 car as my first car. That's what they're getting.
No.
We don't want to. We want her to grow up the way that we grew up, which is just normal, and you're not going to get everything handed to you.
Yeah, her ass is going to work when she's 5, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I grew up poor. My parents, like, the power got shut off on us. We were eating 10-cent cheeseburgers from McDonald's when they would do that promotion. We would get 10 was the limit. My mom would go through the drive-thru and get 10 and then send us inside to get another 10, and we'd freeze them and then reheat McDonald's cheeseburgers for like our meals. But now my parents own a multi-million-dollar business. And so I watched them, like, but they helped us as much as they could growing up, but I didn't get like all the nice stuff and the new stuff. But I just want to be able to help my kids as they're growing up and they're not like literally having to fend for themselves. So that's really where I see it. But I mean, I know people that are literally billionaires that are not happy, that are mentally struggling and stuff like that. And so we really have taken, I mean, over this last, I think 6 months, I've really sat down and be like, what do we want and how do we get there?
And it's the happiness. You see people with all this money, but like the amount of stress, the amount they have to work. I was like, but then again, like I like to use my mom as like an example, but I'm like, you know, at the end of the day, she sits and enjoys her like meals with her husband on their like, you know, looking out at the lake at night and doesn't have the stress that I do. I'm like, that might be more successful than me like just 24/7 can't think about anything but work and just like mentally draining every day. But I'm like, you know, what is that success? But it's interesting to hear people's views and you quote the quote of, you know, comparison is the thief of all joy. I have a big quote and it's game shows are not fun without alcohol. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Don't Be Sour mid game show. Okay. It's a little breakup and, you know, give me these shot glasses.
I'm so worried. I'm so worried about these questions because I'm terrible at certain things. So.
These are good. And we're going to switch it up a little bit. Okay. Now, with all the businesses you guys have, Aubrey, I would say that you've learned a lot from your fantastic husband. You learned a lot about business, a lot about the ins and the outs, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So for your question, it's a business one. Oh, God. If you fail, you got to take a shot, okay? Oh. Aubrey, what is, in business, a run rate? And provide an example.
I literally have never heard that term in my life.
I don't want her to feel dumb because I want to say I don't know what a run rate is. So
that's so sad. I don't know. Like, make it an easier question.
That is, it's. What do you think a run rate is in business? If you had to use context clues, you're like, all right, business run rate, rate. What do you think it is?
The rate at which
you can sprint.
The rate at which your business
I would
runs.
help you, but I don't know.
I have, yeah.
I think it had something to do with cash flow.
So it's essentially extrapolating like financial data and like projecting it into future terms. So
did you know this or did you Google it before
smart
this?
As fuck, Aubrey.
Yeah, I felt
essentially what you do is you can make your business not necessarily sound like it. It'd be like if your business did $1 million this month, right? And you anticipate that your business is going to continue to have that same rate. That run rate, you would basically say like, if we did $1 million, you could say our run rate is a $12 million because you take one section of time and make that into a year. And assuming you did that amount of money, that is what your run rate is for the year. So, so because you assume I'm going to do $1 million every month. So I have a $12 million run rate for my business.
So you pick your best month and you're like, look at me, I'm so good.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's problem is people will do it off of like, you know, so someone could say we have like a $15 million run rate. That doesn't mean they're going to do $15 million that year.
The best we ever did in May
of
2020, in 3 minutes, we did $105,000.
That's a lot of money in a very small amount of time.
So what's the run rate on that one?
I don't have a calculator with me.
I thought you just had a big brain.
You're not. That doesn't even make any sense. I'd have to know what you did for like, if we extrapolate it out into minutes and stuff. Anyway, you lose. Okay. But first, Brad. Oh, gosh. Now, this is kind of an opposite, okay? You have a beautiful wife. You've probably learned a lot about what goes into the struggles that a woman has on a daily basis, right? And what she has to do to Get ready for a beautiful date, maybe out, when the...
This better be a hard question, okay? Because mine was difficult.
Well, to you, it may not seem like a hard question. I thought he was going to know the answer to your question. Brad, in makeup, what is contouring?
Oh, yeah. So contouring is where you essentially make your face look slimmer, and you highlight certain areas and make your face look a certain way by like putting darker shades on certain parts and like lighter shades on other parts.
Do you think that was too easy?
Yes. But
We actually have a secondary question because
Oh,
I was
gosh.
worried that it wasn't a good enough question for Brad. We're going to make it harder. I make the rules on here.
The problem is I sit here and watch TikToks with her at night, and they sometimes are doing makeup.
Brad.
So, yeah.
On a woman's body,
Oh, gosh.
oh god.
please describe as accurately as possible where the clitoris is.
Oh my gosh.
No one knows.
That is actually correct. That is correct. So I think it's actually just
Yeah.
Aubrey and me that are taking a shot. But guess what? What's crazy about this game show is everyone wins and everyone loses. So no matter if you get it right or wrong, you're taking a shot. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Brad knows what contouring is, and he knows the correct answer of the clitoris. I was hoping you were just going to say it's located above this and that. Why do you know so much about makeup?
We watch TikToks at night, and I have to watch them with her, and it's all about makeup.
The actual definition is creating shadows to define and reshape the face.
I mean, he got it. Good job. Proud of you.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
I'm starting my makeup YouTube channel.
Now learn business terms.
Okay.
Do you know what EBITDA stands for?
Yes.
Is it like EBDOS? Is that what it's like?
What?
EBIT.
It's an actual word, or is
It's
it an
an acronym.
abbreviation?
Yeah.
Oh.
What does it stand for?
It's like earnings before interest and taxes, depreciations, assets,
Amortization.
amortization. Okay.
You go straight to the ass words. I understand that. So with business and everything, guys, you got a fantastic cookie company, Fat and Weird. It's actually, we should have planned this out more. You should have shipped some to me. We can have them all
We
on
actually
there.
have a box in the car, and we're supposed to get it out.
Why didn't you bring it in here? so
Aubrey
people can
said, leave it, we'll get it after.
I actually didn't say that, but it's fine.
Well, we're gonna put it on the screen of what it is. Obviously, it'll be linked down in the description. Talk to us a little bit about the cookie business. First of all, Fat and Weird. Why is it called that and not, skinny and normal or something?
So within our YouTube channel, we used to travel and eat. I mean, that was really primarily what we would do, is get desserts and donuts and cookies. And every time that we used to go out to eat, or like going to eat a lot, honestly, we would just be like, hey, let's get fat and weird. Time to get fat and weird.
Well, inside joke.
I guess,
Yeah.
for our YouTube. And yeah, so that just stuck. We were like, for days, we're like, what are we going to name our cookie company? And it just fit.
Yeah.
Okay, so why start a cookie company? So obviously, what am I going to start a cookie? So you had like some idea one day.
Yeah. So
You
there's
love
there's
cookies so
long-
much?
No, yeah, go ahead.
I'll just kind of like compact it.
Yeah, people
here.
don't have all day, guys. Come on.
Okay, so in April of 2018, I had my followers surprise Brad with cookies.
For my birthday.
For his birthday. And we got over like 1,000 cookies shipped
Wait,
to our
wait.
house.
You said, hey guys, for my, was it husband at the time?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, for this good looking guy that I live with, you send him cookies?
To our P.O. box, yeah.
I've never heard of the army of followers gift thing. So that's unique.
And
Okay.
My followers are pretty amazing. So
Well, tell
I
him
love them.
tell him to buy sour strips. Okay. So you told him to send him cookies?
yes, and so we got like boxes and boxes from all over the world. Some were like homemade, some were from shops.
Some had razor blades in them.
Exactly,
You know those like big mesh bags they have at USPS?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had 4 of those when we went to go pick up, full of like boxes of cookies. So
We froze them and we tried them over time. And Brad felt like there was a market missing for crazy flavors, but executed very well. So it's either or. It was like either a cookie kind of sucked and had a bunch of candies in it, or it was just chocolate chip and it was awesome.
And this is 2018.
yeah,
Yes.
so it was like, it was like your favorite, like oatmeal raisin, big oatmeal raisin, but there was like nothing fun about it. So I was like, why don't you throw
Oatmeal
like,
raisin doesn't need to be fun. It's an old person's cookie.
What if you put oatmeal cream pies in your oatmeal raisin cookie?
Wow.
See, that's
you do
kinda
love
my
a
idea.
cream pie.
Yep. So the whole idea is like, there would be a Snickers
Why'd you
cookie.
laugh about that?
there'd be a Snickers cookie, but they would just chop up Snicker bars and put it in a cookie. And it wasn't like,
How else would you do it?
well, so like we have a Snickers cookie that we're going to launch, and it's like a chocolate cookie with peanuts and peanut butter chips and caramel bits, and then it has a caramel chocolate core. So like I'm like reinventing the Snicker in a cookie form.
Okay, so you're like creating a cookie
Right.
that tastes like a Snickers, not a cookie just with Snickers in it.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to create cookies that were like, you know, reimagined, like your favorite foods reimagined into cookie forms or desserts. I
So
guess.
you felt, I think when anyone starts, like similar when you said you started Motive because you're like, I love all these different clothing brands, shots kicking in, the clothing brands that I work with, but there's certain things that I feel like are missing. And
Yeah.
that's what you can solve the problems that you have. That's what I think everyone with starts a business is like, there's something that I dislike about the industry or something that I like to enjoy. Here's my passion with it. Here's what I can solve. So the problem that you felt with the cookie world was that it lacked excitement, I guess.
Yeah. The only problem though with a cookie company is it's a low barrier to entry. Like a clothing company is a much higher barrier to entry with MOQs, researching overseas suppliers, like things like that. So now I feel like there's probably hundreds of cookie companies that have popped up, a lot of which are following me, Aubrey, or Fat and Weird.
I agree.
And so now that's where our next step is, like we're pushing into the retail wholesale market because that's a big barrier to entry.
Yes.
We have our facility, I mean, is a $3.5 million facility. We've taken every bit of money that Fat and Weird's ever made, and instead of buying Lamborghinis or whatever, we put it all back into the company.
How are people going to know you're successful if you only have a cookie machine to show for it, not a Lamborghini?
Who cares?
Yeah. As long, hey, I told you, I'm looking for that upper middle class life, you know? But so because we have these machinery though, like we can produce like 15 to 20,000 cookies a day. So that is going to help us get into the wholesale market.
So when you started the cookie company,
I feel those shots, by the way. Oh my gosh. I haven't drank in like
turns
so
out
long.
alcohol
Brad
has an
doesn't
effect,
take
everyone.
shots.
Yeah. Like I'm like, yeah, you're getting loopy Brad over here.
You know what I need to do is I need to start saving any like really like, especially like the money questions or whatever people get
Yeah,
usually
save
kind
them
of
for
kind of
the end.
uncomfortable.
I don't get
Just go
uncomfortable
to
with
the,
that
like,
because like at the end of the
I'll
day,
show you how
like,
much I got in my bank account.
I don't get uncomfortable with the money questions because if you feel like someone's not going to support you because I feel like people know that Fat and Weird success. I mean, we were selling out in 3 minutes, like for years.
But
So
at the
it's
end
more-
of the day, nobody has. They don't have any idea.
of
They
the,
don't have
well,
any
the
idea.
operating expenses
Yeah.
behind the company and like, I mean, when we were building the building for Fat and Weird and we were doing the sellouts and all that stuff, like we were all the boxes, like we were talking about boxes for sour, all the boxes were in our 3-car garage, the house we were renting. I would get them shipped from overseas in a 40-foot container, delivered to my parents' warehouse, unbox them, and then take them with a box truck to my house and hand unload them into a garage. Like we printed out all the shipping labels. Like we've done everything ourselves. Like, so I mean, I'm proud of what we've done.
No,
So I'm not-
it's actually super cool to. I mean, I guess when people start clothing companies, they still are trying to figure out what's the process on it. But when you start something that's like so unique and different, like a cookie company, my case like a candy, but like figuring out like the process on how that all goes when like it's not like no one's ever done it before, but like it's not a clear like, oh, go to Alibaba, get
Right.
Jim T-shirt.
I'd know when to call and ask questions. to.
Exactly.
Not to mention, we didn't know that it was going to be a thing that blew up. Like,
was a- it
we
was a
were
side
like, oh,
thing.
we'll get
That's
like
the-
5 orders, and then
So when you had the idea to start the cookie company, because I'm assuming you just guys you love cookies so much, right? You
Yeah.
gotta have the passion behind it. Obviously, you're like, did you like creating, like making cookies? Because when you start a company, you're like, hey, babe, we're gonna have to like bake a lot.
So Aubrey told you about how why it started. We felt that market was missing. So my aunt did catering on the side. She's a dental hygienist, but she'd do catering on the weekends, and she mainly did desserts. And I was like, hey, would you like to like help us start this cookie company? And she's like, yes. So she would send us cookies to try, and I would always be like, hey, we need to push the envelope on like what you're doing. Like, she'd do a peanut butter cookie and it was like plain. I'm like, no, let's put a Reese's cup in there. Let's put Reese's pieces on it. Or she'd send like an Oreo cookie and I'm like, no, we need to put like Oreos in the dough and all that stuff. So we started sampling all these different flavors and I like got her to push the envelope on what she was doing. So by August, we found a shared kitchen space that you could rent space in. And we got our food license and we got everything approved and we launched the cookie company in August and she was baking and everything for us. And I was like paying her really well to do this. And then And then it just like really took off. And by March of 2019, she's like, hey, I'm the reason this company can't grow because I can only do it one day a week because I have a full-time job. I like my full-time job, so you need to hire employees. So I hired my first 2 full-time employees at that point. But like we were hand labeling bags. We were, ordering.
Hand stamping boxes.
Yeah, hand stamping boxes. Like I would go into the kitchen. She would get off work at Friday at 3 o'clock. I would go into the kitchen and meet her at 3 p.m. on Friday. And we would bake until like 3 or 4 in the morning. And then I would then take all those cookies from that kitchen out on the beach, drive them 30 minutes into town to my parents' warehouse. And then I would go from 6 a.m. until noon with Aubrey and then any of our friends that would come help. I mean, I would pay them, but they would come help. And we would box up those cookies and USPS would come at noon to pick everything up and then we'd ship them out. And it got to the point where we were like getting more and more people to help us because we like couldn't keep up with the demand of it all. And that's when we started, hiring more and more employees and it just like really took off.
So y'all started the company with hey, we're doing this fat and weird, or we're going to build up the somewhat of a structure a little bit of like how we're going to do it. We're going to launch it. It wasn't like Aubrey kind of bakes cookies on the weekends. My friends have been wanting me, you should sell these cookies. And now it turned into that. Or like, okay, here's an idea. We love cookies. We know it's missing and we go into it. What is something you learned early on about, let's call it like the process of making cookies or something that you quickly learned like wasn't what you thought it was going to be?
Oh, scaling a recipe. Like if you make 5 cookies at home or a batch of cookies like in your little mixer, like you think you can just multiply that by like 30 to put it into like the big mixers that we have. Man, so it's really like if you're off by an ounce of flour in a small batch, it's not a big deal. But when you multiply that recipe by 50 and now you're off by 50 ounces of flour, which is like 4 pounds, like that's a huge deal. And so like scaling the recipes, I remember the first time we scaled a recipe up and we were like, this is a disaster. Like the cookies like spread too much or they were like hard as a rock. And
what is the biggest like batch error that you guys ever did that you were just like, we have to trash all of this?
I mean, we've thrown away 500 cookies.
And like a batch?
So we mix 550 at a time.
We forgot to put in the sugar, right? There was one batch where we forgot to put in the sugar.
Well, it's not the baker forgot. Like Aubrey and I aren't mixing
it's
it.
Whatever. But yeah, we tasted it and we're like, hey, this does not taste right.
There was one where they put in too much of the graham extract of the s'mores cookie we do called Pitch Intense. All of our names kind of have like a sexual connotation.
Yeah, that's the penis in the pants, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the way my mind thinks is like, okay, s'mores is camping, tents are camping, pitch and tents is how I get to s'mores.
You could also, if another joke I like to do is whenever something I say is like intense, I'm like sex while camping. Intense.
Yeah. So they put too much of the graham extract in there and it had because extracts are made with alcohol, it had a very like whiskey flavor to it, like an alcohol flavor. So I was like,
but it was good. It was still good.
Yeah. So I was like, we're just going to do a whiskey s'mores cookie. And then we like threw it on the website and sold it.
I've also called like drunken tents or something like that.
Yeah. Also crooked tents.
Crooked tents.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I like that.
But I mean, I've done things like where I forgot to turn on shipping and then people from freaking Canada were ordering and they were getting free shipping and it's like $25 to ship to Canada and their order was like $10.
And you can't like hit them up and be like, hey, can you send me money for shipping? Like it's like, you have to like kind of like eat that.
Yeah, ate that. I mean, the other, like probably like 6 months ago, a girl, one of our employees were pulling the rack out of the oven and she went to turn the rack and she dumped it. She dumped like probably like 200 cookies on the ground.
So you
just had to throw them away.
With all of the manual aspects of like baking and cooking and a cookie company, what's been like the biggest struggle of like, I guess like understanding human error where it's, hey, I forgot to put in sugar. Like how do you deal with like Johnson, like how did you forget to put in sugar? There's like 6 steps or do you like label everything or is it just, you just accept that? Or
so we have a recipe spreadsheet that they all follow. And because I'm engineering background, like they literally can put in how many cookies they're trying to make. Cause another thing, people don't realize how expensive kitchen equipment is. Like the Hobart mixers are $40,000 each. And we have 3 of them.
So to give you an idea, I'll put on the screen. A Hobart mixer is like it's like your KitchenAid. It's like your KitchenAid,
but it's 140 quarts. So the bowl is 140 quarts. So
you could put like dead bodies in there.
For example, if you're making a batch of dough, it will make like 200 pounds of cookies. So if you make an error in 200 pounds of cookie, like that's a lot of ingredients you're having to throw away.
What's the most costly thing that an employee has ever come to you and gone, I fucked up, like, and like, what was it? Was it like a $5,000 error?
Well,
remember when you guys
drop the machine?
Yeah.
Well, so, when you're first starting a business, you're trying to figure out the cheapest way to do things.
Yes.
And a flow wrapper in the America is like $70,000. When on Alibaba, it's $12,000.
Flow wrapper, for everyone listening, is a machine that you put the product in and it will automatically seal, date the bag. Pretty much most of like, look at like a pack of crackers. Like it goes through this flow wrapper.
Right. Yeah. And so they're only like $12,000 on Alibaba. So I'm like, I'm gonna order it on Alibaba.
Yeah.
We ordered this thing, right? And
All the instructions are in Chinese.
there's no instructions. There's no nothing. We get this flow wrapper. And, it got delivered to my parents' warehouse, and I had to move it to the 900 square foot kitchen that we were in because we had moved out of the shared kitchen and rented our own catering kitchen.
And a flow wrapper is not small.
No. And it was me and another guy moving it. It broke free of the ratchet straps in transit and punched a hole in the box truck I was borrowing from my parents, which that sucks. Then we're going to lower it, and it falls out of the back of the truck just on its side. And then me and my friend Ben get it lifted back up. We finally get it in there, but I mean, we had just effed this thing up. To the point where like I eventually had to buy the 70,000 machine, and the people we bought it from were like, "We'll take your China one for $5,000, and we'll figure."
I bought it yesterday for 12,000.
Yeah, they didn't care.
I'm gonna give you $100.
And so that's when I learned like you can buy stuff cheaper from China, but unless you speak Chinese or have a really great engineering team that can figure it out, just gonna have to buy it in America.
Yeah, and with y'all's company, not only is the unique route of the the cookie names and like the ingredients that goes into them with your name Fat and Weird, they are them bitches are fat. Why did you go with the? I know you have like the pound like big ones, but y'all's cookies, which we'll have on the screen here. Every time I say screen, that's Oz when he's editing this podcast. He's like,
right here.
God damn it! Now I gotta look that up and change it. So why did y'all go with these like fist-size cookies versus the smaller, like, I guess normal cookies when people think of cookies?
It had a lot to do with shipping. I knew that we were going to be in the e-commerce route, so we couldn't go like Crumbl cookie style with topped cookies. They don't ship. Like you and I both know. Like
so those ones you're talking about are like kind of the smaller, flatter ones with the just toppings.
Yeah.
I'm not a big cookie guy. Like I like oatmeal raisin, but I don't.
I know we made an oatmeal raisin only for you and sent it to you. We never even made it in production.
You guys sent me that sour cookie one time, which was sour.
It was pretty sour.
It was sour.
Yeah.
So you
I don't know. I think it started
cookies.
with like the Reese's cup inside the cookie and the white chocolate inside the Black Beauty, which is our Oreo cookie. So I don't know. I think it transformed. Like we
like
went with that
Levain
route.
Bakery style cookies, which were like the big
Fat,
what they called New York style cookies.
what do you call it?
Levain Bakery. They only make 4 cookies. They make a chocolate chip walnut. They make a
Peanut butter
oatmeal
chocolate chip.
raisin. They make a peanut butter chocolate chip and a chocolate peanut butter chip.
They stick to what they know.
But I said I wanted those like fat. They call them now New York style bakery cookies. Is actually the name for the big fat cookies. It's a New York style cookies. But I wanted to do that with just like more fun stuff, and I knew that flat cookies that were topped wouldn't ship.
Okay.
So
so as y'all develop this cookie company, obviously with that, there's a lot of like internal manual things you do. You can't really like outsource a lot of it. And y'all, I mean, maybe I don't know the cookie business. So I'm like, can you like co-manufacture cookies? Y'all are so like unique with them in the way that you do your business. It's almost like you need it to be like in real time.
Yeah, we do everything. So the only thing that we have co-packed is our cookie butter, which is like a protein product for all of our like fitness people. It's like
but we're not
spreadable
even doing that
cookies.
anymore.
Yeah.
It's just
Unfortunately.
like yeah,
But
we can
yeah,
co-pack for other people. I mean, the cool thing is like if you came down to our facility and you're like, I want to make this cookie today, as long as we could get the ingredients or have the ingredients, like we could make that cookie, we could label it, like we could have it today. Whereas if you want to make a new sour strip flavor, like how far out are you?
Yeah, it's a long time. I mean,
Right.
some with everything, it's like project. I mean, it's 6 months to a year.
So like if there's a trendy thing happening, like we could
In real
capitalize
time.
on that
Yeah,
real
that
time,
is one of the
which is really
benefits.
cool. But it also means like we don't have a business to sell as much because like we produce everything, right? So we're not like if sour strips, if you ever want to exit, you're like, here's my manufacturer, here's my branding, like here's everything. Like you just take over. Like we are like the workhorse of it all. Like we have to come up with the flavors, like do all that stuff, and like
I feel like y'all missed out on the opportunity to make like a midnight cookie with the Taylor Swift launch. Should have done that.
what was the Taylor Swift thing?
Midnights was her album, and it was like the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Could have a Midnight's cookie. whatever.
We
I
had
don't
a
know.
cookie called Midnight Snack, so we could have done that.
Time to sue Taylor Swift. Now here's a question.
We're older, so we just are behind on
That's
this.
true. That's true. Yeah,
I'm so old.
He's like, who's Taylor
I'm
Swift?
practically geriatric at this point.
See, I'm so young and hip that I don't even know what geriatric means. With starting your own cookie company and scaling, you guys now, when I said earlier, you live in a warehouse, you built your cookie plant and you built a beautiful home. Oz again, put it on the screen. Now you got some photos. Like you wouldn't know you're in a warehouse and you go in your home, but when you all decided to build your own plant and kind of take it to the scale and the level that you're at with Fat and Weird and a multi-million-dollar cookie company, what are the costs to build? But let's not say the building. Let's just say all of the manufacturing equipment to build a cookie company that's doing multi-millions a year. Like how much money in equipment do you need to make a cookie company?
It's funny. I just did the spreadsheet. So there's like $800,000 in assets. So it's like equipment. So like our walk-in or rack oven is $40,000. The Hobart mixers are $40,000 each, and we have 3. The VMAG machine that stuffs the cookies now, so we don't have to do it by hand, was $210,000. The freezers are probably the most expensive. The first freezer and fridge that we have was like $90,000, and the next one was $130,000, and that's
like $1 million in equipment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, did y'all started this company in like your home?
So we started the company in that shared. It was
Kitchen.
shared kitchen.
So you never made cookies from this company like in your home oven?
No,
No.
there are restrictions.
Yeah,
and
there's cottage food laws.
Yeah,
and if you were going to ship outside the state in Florida, you were not allowed to manufacture in your house. And I wanted to do everything like by the books because I wanted to scale a company. I think a lot of people like try to figure out how do I save money? How do I do shortcuts? But I was like, I need to find the proper kitchen space and everything because if I want to scale a company, like I don't want the FDA or USDA, which I doubt they would, being like coming after me for baking in my house. You know, so. Because we rented space, it was $17 per hour. They had the ovens and mixers, and we were able to take.
That's cheap.
I know. So we were able to take all that. Well, at one point we were in there so much they were charging us $5,000 per month, and I was able to rent another kitchen for $2,000 per month once we got that big. But then take all that capital, buy our own equipment. So it was like one of those things that we just didn't take any money out and just kept reinvesting. What do you guys
learn, people listening? Instead of buying Lamborghinis, you buy giant Hobart mixers for your cookie company. And here's this is an interesting kind of thing I want to know. You talked earlier about how there's a lot of other companies that are kind of we'll say got inspired by you. You may not have been the first cookie company to do what you're doing, but you maybe took it and lightning in a bottle, you ran with it. And then people, generally what happens is people see not necessarily how easy it is, but they see the success someone's having and they're like, me too. I can do that too. And without necessarily throwing people under the bus and, kind of like attacking people, what do you think the biggest frustration is with being in a field like this and having so many Me Too companies kind of like, I know that you only exist because we exist?
Yeah, I think the hard part about that is like, if there's 100 other cookie companies and they took 2 orders a week from you, that's 200. That's a lot of orders that you're losing out on. And then 2, like some of our flavor ideas are pretty novel. Like we were the first person to put nerds in a cookie, but now Crumbl's doing it. And I know people are like, well, Crumbl's so big they don't pay attention to you. The founder of Crumbl follows me.
Isn't Crumbl like suing a bunch of people?
Yeah, so Crumbl's suing Dirty Dough and Crave.
For like logo stuff, and I looked at their logos. I understand trademarks pretty well, and I look at that.
It's not just logos. They're suing them. They're essentially, it would be similar to if Pizza Hut was suing Domino's for having a pepperoni pizza. They're suing them on flavor ideation and box design. So but it's like a pizza box, a cookie box, a cookie box.
Yeah.
Like it is what it is. The lawsuit won't stand up. Everyone that's talking about
I think it just makes you look bad at that point. It's not even like a...
Yeah, you kind of look like a bully.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly
because
what
of the
look like.
lawsuit. The other 2 companies have had astronomical growth. Yeah, well, I know because we talked to.
I seen the video article, and that's some people think they can monopolize and like we're the only people who can do it. No. But even Crumbl probably has a frustration with other companies. Whether they're, I don't know if they're. I know they're a huge company. I'm assuming they're like
Crumbl's
the
$1 billion company now.
That's a okay revenue, I guess.
Yeah.
But
so the in my opinion though, Crumbl is so they're first to market, and you don't want to be first to market because the second and third to market see all your pain points and they fix them. So Crumbl's pain points are they each each Crumbl location is a bakery, meaning that when you eat a Crumbl cookie at one location and you go to a different location, you may have a different experience altogether. The owners of the Crumbl location have to source their own ingredients. They have to bake their cookies. They have to make their cookies there. They have like 80 employees, whereas some of the new cookie companies that are coming out are doing centralized manufacturing, which means they are going to source the ingredients, get a better price because they're bulk ordering. They're going to send you what you need to produce that month. So if you're at Crumbl and you're doing a blueberry cookie and you order too many blueberries, like you're out of luck.
Yeah.
And two, you probably know this, most business owners, the hardest part about owning a business is employees. Not as like you guys suck, but it's like finding good employees, reliability in the market now, like making sure you have good employees that are paid well. As inflation continues to occur, you got to pay people more and more money. So if your entire business model relies on 80 employees, like that's not going to be easy to do. So I truly think, here, put it on Max's podcast. I truly think that the next couple of cookie companies coming up are going to pass Crumbl, and Crumbl will
Crumbl.
Yeah, I really do. I believe that.
So I know we got a side tangent to Crumbl, but back to like frustrations with maybe people that are like, I don't want to say copying, because again, you can't be like, I'm the only person that's ever can make a cookie company.
People will say that we copied Crumbl and we've released a cookie.
My girlfriend's ordered Crumbl, and y'all, it's light years difference
Yeah.
and again, it's like there doesn't have to be one company that does everything, but I guess
you're not the only. Sour Strips is not the only candy we consume.
And what?
Yeah, but it is my favorite sour candy. But it is not the only candy I consume.
We live by, and we've always operated with the understanding that there's room for everyone, always. So there's room for every cookie company out there that wants to succeed, and we support them. But when you name your cookie the same thing verbatim,
oh yeah, we've had to trademark a couple of them, because
and they're like, "Oh, I didn't even know that you guys had that one."
So yeah, we've been frustrated in that sense. There's been smaller cookie companies that have named.
Oh, you brought up our mega cookie, our 1 pound cookie. We have the trademark for mega cookie, to the point where we've had to send like cease and desist to other cookie companies because they're using mega. We're in a lawsuit with Hershey's right now over the trademark mega. So
I guess my frustrations with stuff like that about like the names is it's more of like, I never look at any company and think that like they are the only people that can do this, right? Especially commodity stuff. Anyone can make cookies. Anyone can do that. But you can, even if people will deny it till they're blue in the face of getting inspiration from you or copying you, they'll be like, I didn't even know you guys existed. It's just coincidence. I guess the frustration I get as a business owner is like the work that you've put in, and then to know that like it's almost like you're looking at another business owner and you're like, you're taking the easy route to build a company, and like I know how much work I put into this, and you're trying to take these shortcuts, and like you're not a true business, because I think it's a lazy business strategy to just copy people of like exact branding, exact models of how people are doing things. I think taking inspiration is one thing, but doing something in like a lazy way, I don't want to say it rubs me the wrong way. It's just more like, as a business owner, I take pride in how much I've learned and how much I've done. And for someone to just be like, I'm going to copy it.
Yeah,
then
Brad said once that if you are a copy of someone, you'll never be better than them. You'll just be the same. And so if that's okay with you, then sure, copy us. But you'll never get beyond.
Yeah, you're not going to copy someone to be better than them. Like the best you'll be is just a replica, right?
Yeah, you're always going to be like, you're just like this company. You're never going to be like your own thing.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of like how I felt about that. I mean, we're copied all the time. People send us DMs, especially about Fat and Weird, like, oh, did you see this cookie company? Oh, did you see they did this cookie?
I'm sure it's every day. It's like another.
Yeah. And, it could be frustrating, but at this point, it's like, we're profitable.
It's okay.
It's like, whatever. And, we've built a really good name for ourselves. I think a lot of people know who Fat and Weird is. And we are pushing into the wholesale market. So hopefully soon you see us in Target. Maybe we'll do a Sour Strip Fat and Weird collab, in Target,
Let's do it, man. And, with you guys talked about your best year ever being in 2020, right when the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And that, for, I think most people in e-commerce, especially in the food world, Sour Strips as well. I think 2020 was our best year ever e-commerce.
Yeah.
And then it kind of, it's great at the time, but it kind of sucks now because you
feel like you're dropping.
You feel like you're dropping, but in reality you have this false spike
right.
of this of this in crazy sales
Right.
fluctuation, right?
Yeah.
But now you're like dropping, and in reality, it's not that big of a deal. It's just because everyone was home, everyone's ordering online, everyone
Right.
didn't want to go out. I guess we'll call it the drop, or with the change in e-commerce, now people are going back into the stores. Business models have to change, and you've talked about going to wholesale. What does the future look like for Fat and Weird, knowing that, like, I think when 2020 has skewed everyone's mindset to thinking like, we're going to be the cookie company that's everyone's going to order online, even because it's not a normal thing to like probably order cookies. Like people want to order it from the store down the street or pick it up. So you've had to like change because of that. How is your like model change of like how you're going to move forward?
Yeah. So I know that I've talked to you separately about a lot of this, and I think it's because like food products are, you have certain companies like supplement companies that are still growing even after 2020, and but the food products are like not a necessity as much as people are getting their supplements all the time. They're still going to the gym or whatever. So food dropping down, we were like, what are we going to do? So we decided that we needed to push into wholesale and retail just to like make it, keep growing, because we're at a point now with e-commerce slowing down so much. It was getting to a point where like,
Well, you have a fork in the road. You can either go wholesale or you can do
franchise,
franchising,
right?
which we considered both, and we just
And you had this crazy year, and then you're like, let's build a factory.
Right.
And
so,
then it's like, pandemic,
it's
and you're like,
scary.
what's happening?
yeah. So I mean, 2021 was less than 20, and then this year is less than 2021. So I guess you have a couple options. It's like you can quit and you could just give up, but it's like, I built this machine that will work, so I need to figure out how to get this machine to work past e-commerce.
Yeah.
And so we had a franchise group approach us, and they said, hey, we want to go in with you. Like, you own 70%, we own 30% of franchise locations. Like, we can do that. But I felt like you have to manage your franchises. You really do. Whereas in the wholesale world, like, you produce the cookies, you put them on a freezer truck, you send them off, and then they bake their cookies there. For example, Circle K, there's like 1,200 locations. They sell 40 cookies a day. So
That's a lot of cookies.
So if you become their supplier, then I mean, I think they said when I was talking to, essentially we're partnering with a wholesale group. There's 160,000 convenience stores. If you get into 100,000 convenience stores and you sell 4 cookies a day, that's it. That's a $60 million business.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
just a sheer volume of that. That's what even with Sour Strips, my online, we peaked in 2020, right when the pandemic hit, and then we've gone down. But my business has grown so much because I had this like perfect storm of a business where, we started the hype, and then the hype built up during the pandemic, and we got all the cash from the pandemic, and then I was able to funnel that into retail.
You
and
really
now
did have perfect timing.
Yeah. One day I need to tell the full story of Sour Strips and the timing of it, because it couldn't have. It was like it couldn't have been better.
Yeah.
But we've shifted into retail,
Right.
And the volume is just where it happens, because you think, instead of selling 10,000 cookies, a day or whatever you need to do, or some crazy number of like launches, you're just like, really, I just need to sell a couple cookies a day in a whole bunch of stores.
Right.
And it's just that volume play. And then it's like just the expansion.
Yeah. So, I don't want to talk too much about this because it's not like a done deal, but we've met with this franchise or this wholesale group, and, we have plans to really grow Fat and Weird on the wholesale route. They already have some like contracts in the works with some movie theaters, some gas stations, and things like that. And, they're a Utah-based company, so I don't know if you've ever heard of Fizz, but in Utah, the LDS church, like Mormons, they don't drink coffee, so soda shops are like a huge thing there. So they have a contract with all of the soda shops there, things like that, but they don't have the production facility that we have. So they've met with us, and we have plans to kind of grow that side of the business. So that's something that actually literally Sunday up until yesterday, Aubrey and I
it just happened.
have been working on.
You're the
and
first
it's like,
one to know.
really is.
Exclusive for the podcast.
Yeah.
So with going into wholesale, how do you take a product that is so like you need to eat this kind of as soon as you buy it to go into like a wholesale type of business?
Yeah. So a lot of it's going to be frozen cookie dough, like frozen cookie pucks is what they call them.
Was that ever something that like a lot of people get into a business and they're like, I hate that cookies are frozen that you're like reheating, like we're gonna make fresh whatever, and then you realize that like there's a reason why certain businesses do certain things. Like, was that ever something you were against or that you're changing?
I don't think we ever talked about like not freezing or
No,
not.
you're like to get the best cookies. You're supposed to chill your dough for like 24 hours. Like if you're making cookies at home, you're supposed to chill your dough for 24 hours. It like lets
It actually
all the
yields
flavors.
a different cookie.
Yeah. So we've like frozen dough is like every single. In fact, like Hostess, they freeze those cupcakes, the Christmas trees that everyone loves, the zebra cakes. All are frozen when they get to Walmart, and then Walmart pulls them out of the shelf. Your bread at Walmart, most people or your grocery store, sometimes you'll get to the grocery store early in the morning and the bread's still frozen. They freeze all of that to hold the shelf life longer to go into production. But the frozen dough pucks would go out to the location, then they would cook them on site, and that way you get a hot, fresh cookie. So
I think that's the move.
Yeah.
And kind of to wrap up the your cookie journey. What do you think? I know you talk about wholesale, but do you think the cookie company is something that you forever want to be a part of? Or do you think that at some point you'll kind of, because now with I think when you bring a child into this world, life changes and, there's difference of, managing businesses and your time going into there and the amount of time that is needed to truly scale a company into like, 10, 20, 50, $100 million, unless you're just so hands off and you're just, getting a residual check. Is it ever something that you think you want to leave behind and let someone else kind of like flap its phoenix wings in the wind?
I mean, I think that Brad said it earlier. Our goal is not like to be, so wealthy that we just own A, B, and C house. Like
just
we're just
$10 million
not
wealthy.
I mean,
I know that seems like a lot, but really, it's really about the residual income that provides.
No,
okay?
I understand it.
We're just not the type to just want more and more and more and more. We understand that life is temporary. We just have one life. And
yeah, I've heard at the end of all this we die.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
shit sucks, honestly.
I mean, it's really hit home with me lately. Like I've had some people close to me that have like lost loved ones and things like that unexpectedly at like young ages, like in their 30s, 40s, 50s and all that stuff. And you realize that like tomorrow is not promised to you. And if you're in this journey to this finish line and you're only going to be happy when you cross that finish line, what if you don't cross that finish line? Like if you're not enjoying the journey you're in or whatever, like that's a miserable life to have because that finish line is not a guaranteed thing. So like if you're not happy along the way, then that's not like a life that you want to be living. And I know it's easy to look at it and be like, oh, Brad and Aubrey, like you have money or you have this or that. So it's easy to be in that position. But that's for everything I've ever done in life. If like you're not enjoying, quit doing it,
What's the point?
Yeah, it really is.
So you're just kind of going with the flow. Whatever happens.
Yeah, so we would exit from Fat and Weird if it made sense because at the end of the day, I have a goal in mind, and that goal doesn't need to be attached to anything other than like I want to spend time with my family. I want to be able to be a part of Scarlett's life growing up.
Goals, happiness and financial stability,
right.
And you have a number you want to hit as a minimum that you want to hit, and like whether I'm a part of something in the future or let it flaps its wings on its own. It's like my happiness is not tied to being a part of this thing.
Right. And that number is about what I imagine my life would be like with that number. So like when you ask people like, what's your goal weight? And they say this number and it's an arbitrary number sometimes. That weight for me, if you ask my goal weight, it's attached to a physique. Like I want to weigh this much because this is what I think my physique looks like at that point. So that's why I have that $10 million in my mind is because I know what lifestyle that can provide. So that number may be different for everyone. Some people may be able to do 2 million, 5 million. Some people may need 20 or 30 million to live the life that they need. But I've attached 10 million to the life that I want to provide. Like if you said, okay, what's your goal weight? I'm sure you talked to people before and they're like, I want to weigh 140 pounds. You're like, do you pick 140 pounds or 120 pounds because you think you're going to look like something there?
Yeah.
Or like you actually just want to see that on the scale, but you don't care what you look like in the mirror? But for me, it's like, no, I think that the life that I want to live, if I get to this amount, is easily doable with allowing me to put money back into it. So
to be honest, if I don't have 6 private jets and 4 yachts by the time I'm 40, I think I haven't made it yet.
But I have friends like that. I have a friend that said like, I want a 110-foot boat off the coast of Italy. And that's when I've made it. And I said, that's great. Hopefully you can invite me to come stay on
tell
your
a
boat,
lot of people and like, it's, money's an interesting topic and mindsets on it. But I always say like, unless you want the lifestyle of private jets everywhere, yachts, all the time, yachts on the reg, all that stuff. Like, you don't need as much money as you think you do. And a little bit goes a long way when you're smart with it. But, I think it's cool hearing your guys' story and seeing what you've built and seeing what the future holds. And I know you're going to be successful in everything you do. Is there any kind of like final things that you want to sneak peeks, leave with people with of what's next in your life?
Yeah. No, tell them about your books.
You got books?
Really? Oh, it's a secret. Okay. It's so yeah, we always have little projects of inspiration that we're working on. And books, children's books essentially it's a project that I want to work on that I've already started working on. So I'll just leave it at that.
Give us a line out of the book.
Oh my goodness, it's so simple. I mean, really,
the blue duck went to the lake.
Yeah.
No, the difference is it's not illustrated, so it's not like cartoon photos. It's real life. So my background is speech language pathology, and those real life photos make a difference for learning. So
Well, that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Author in your bio soon.
I don't think in my bio.
New York best time seller children's book.
Yeah.
Aubrey, and you might run out of space in your bio. You might have to get rid of at B.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just get rid of at B.
Crumbl.
Crumbl. Yeah. I need her to talk more though, because people already think that I talk too much. So I need her to pipe
It's
in about her
okay.
books,
It's a good balance.
That's exciting. What's next collectively for you guys? Do you have any super big things coming up soon?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're working on that deal with that wholesale company. So hopefully, we're tentatively inking the deal December 1st, and it's an 8-figure deal for us. So it's a big deal. So yeah.
Lots of work.
They're retiring after this podcast.
Hey, 8 figures is greater than 10 million. That's all I'm saying, So
I don't think anything will change as far as what people see. I personally love what I do, and I care about the people that follow me, and I don't want that to change. I don't think it will. So
I don't want that change, but if I get the 8-figure deal, guys, I won't give a fuck about what I post on Instagram anymore.
Well, there is a pressure. I'm sure you feel the pressure too, that when your businesses aren't performing well, that you need to post more and more and more to drive traffic. And I think that with the wholesale route, that kind of takes some of that pressure off of us. And it could be a daunting thing to be on social media. It has provided great opportunities for us, but it's also really negative. I mean, there's Reddit threads all about me being chauvinistic, misogynistic, and
I don't even know what those words mean.
and essentially that the only thing Aubrey's ever done bad in her life is married me. So yeah. So
Damn.
but, yeah.
I don't even want to know what the internet hates about me.
Who knows?
we haven't looked it up.
All right, everyone, leave your comments down below of what the thing you dislike most about the
Brad.
host.
Oh.
Everyone in this room. Let's find out what all of our flaws are. But
Gosh.
I want to thank you guys so much for coming on this show. I am going to put all of their social media, all of their businesses, Fat and Weird Motive, coaching, everything down in the description so you guys can check them out if you're new. I think people got a lot of knowledge in this one, a lot of laughs.
Yeah.
They're probably a little sauced right now.
Yeah, I literally was for a bit buzzing. I think I'm coming down from that, but after a mango margarita tonight, I may be back on.
Earlier before we did this podcast, he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to talk about that deal, but I'm not going to talk about the figures." He's like, 8 figures.
Yeah. Well,
But ladies and gentlemen, that will wrap up episode number 26 of Don't Be Sour. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and if you're listening on any sort of podcast streaming platform, give us a 5-star review. That will wrap it up. We drop episodes every single Monday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Eat more sour strips and ever forward. And here's a little special guest. Dude just knows when we're ending the episode. Hey, man.
and then we always finish everything with "You're worth it."
You're worth it. You're worth it, man. That was good.
Yeah.
Solid Potter. You guys schlossed?
I mean,
I just
for a
had to
second
pee.
there, I was a little lightheaded.
I feel so bad.